A beautiful day as guardian. The sun was rising, the birds were chirping, singing, and the flowers were blooming. Loki woke up in a dizzying sun. Ugh, I groaned. Loki lay down on his bed. His messy hair, black hair, and only thing he could feel was a really bad headache, but he tried to ignore the pain and started to get dressed. He already had this headache weeks ago, but he kept ignoring it and telling himself that it's not a big deal, and he did not tell anyone about it. Loki walked out of the chambers. He wanted to find a place to relax and finish his book. Maybe he could go to the garden and quiet, peaceful there, but the pain of his headache interrupted his thoughts of him. Then he dropped the book he was holding and leaned onto the wall. He breathed in heavily. Breathing heavily. Breathing heavily. Yeah, shit. Now I lost my page. Okay.
Ya yo llevo eso. Sé que no estás explicando. No, mira.
But breathing heavily in his vision, he of him got blurry. Suddenly Loki heard a husk but loud voice. Brother, what are you doing? It was Thor. I walked to Loki and put his hand on his shoulder. Loki's shoulder. His eyes fluttered with worries. Brother, are you okay? Loki looked at Thor and he shoved Thor's hand away. Get away from me, idiot, Loki said with a tiredness in his voice. But he walked away from his brother. Deal his was shaving. The headache was getting worse and worse. Loki waited. Thor said as he tried to catch up to Loki. Loki gripped everything, turned back into the vision. The last thing he heard was transferring, screaming, Loki! Thor's footsteps was echoing in the hallway, and he was holding Loki's body in his arms from him. And he ran into Loki's chamber as fast as he could. Thor could hear Loki's breathing heavily, and he filled with panic, frightened. Hang on there, brother, he whispered as he came to Loki's chamber. Thor gently put Loki on his bed, then rushed himself to find the healer. He is all right, Thor asked the healer immediately, and he kept a finger on his seat. The healer looked at Thor and sighed. Your brother having a really bad fever, my prince. But he will need a lot of time to heal. It's now he's in a coma, but hopefully he could wake up soon. The healer packed her stuff and left the chamber. Thor sat next to Loki's bed and looked at his unconscious little brother. His Thor touched Loki's forehead, and he felt like he touched a hot pot. Then he held Loki's hand in his and he said a small voice, "Please get better soon, brother."
With my grandson and my wife. Me dijeron, no puede. Mira, yo fui a...
At night, Thor didn't go back to the in his chamber. He stayed in Loki's chamber and sat next to him, drying sweat on his brother's cheek, gently and keeping on hope to wake up. Freya walked into Loki's chamber and asked Thor, considered, "Thor, why are you standing up so late?" "I'm taking care of Loki, Mother. I'm very concerned about him." Loki looked at his mother and looked back to Loki. "My son, I'm sure he'll wake up soon." Same person being domesticated and stubborn, Freya left a long sigh and the room. Thor stayed up the whole night and didn't get any sleep. It has been a week since Loki was in the coma. Thor spent all of his time in the chamber for the whole week. He only leaves to use the bathroom. Thor has been staying at night every day, so the dark circles started to appear under his eyes. His hair got messy. His face was elongated, and he was really exhausted. Freya was getting more and more worried, but her son is too stubborn. She couldn't do anything about it. Thor touched Loki's face and gently, "What if he never wakes up?" Thor thought to himself. He could feel his eyes got wet, but he shook his head and comforted himself. "He will wake up. My brother is very strong." And the golden-haired man felt really tired and sleepiness and caused him head on Loki's bed. Then he saw him and his brother childhood memories. Then when they were still laughing, playing cheerfully, without Thor rain to wash, that could go back to those times. But then he slowly closed his body and wrapped his arm around Loki's body. What happened? Loki slowly, his eyes, he felt something like really heavy on his body. he looked at it, and turns out it was Thor's arm. From Loki looks at his brother. From him big muscles arm. Then he looked at his brother Thor. Looked at Thor and exhausted his face. From him sighing when he tried to remove Thor's arm. It was heavy. He heard Thor mumbled, "Loki, please don't leave me." When Loki heard that, he chuckled a bit and thought of himself, what an idiot. He touched his brother's golden and messy hair, and all of a sudden Thor woke up and grabbed Loki's hand, which made the guard of Lofton startle. Thor's eyes got wide and he gasped and shouted, "Loki?" Thor looked so surprised and shocked his brother of him. The tears of joy started to fall down from Thor's eyes. Loki grinned. I can't believe the mighty Thor can be such a crybaby." Thor hugged Loki tightly and whimpered, "You finally wake up," and he sobbed and thought that I'd lose you. "And I know," Loki groaned with annoyance voice. "Ugh, unhand me, you oaf." He squeezed. "You gonna squeeze me to death." Thor quickly released Loki and his face filled with regret. "I'm sorry, brother." "As you were right." Loki did not say anything. It captured Thor's face and looked into his blue eyes, deep blue eyes. "Thank you, brother." Thor couldn't believe that he just heard. Loki is very annoying person. He'd have never thought or apologized to anyone, but now, let's make sure. Ever since Loki woke up, Thor's face has become lightened. He spent his time in the chamber just to take care of him and tried to cheer him up with his bad jokes about him. But however, Loki is very stubborn. Every day Thor tried to feed him. Loki would curly up like a ball and to say no. Thor has to engage him a lot, seeing his dumb brother being design mind. Loki has to eat the food, and he grumpily their mother is really happy about it. Day by day, Loki was getting better and better, but he could see joy in Thor's eyes. One day, Loki decided to get off his bed and get some fresh air in the garden. Loki has always loved the place, and he felt like ages since he last come to the place. Loki smelled the posies every time, but he came here. The grint flowers sound of the birds singing and relating the sound of glass, helping him relax a lot. Also loved it when his wild blow through his air and from starting to read his book from him. When he smelled butterflies, he laid on the book and smiled and grimly. No one would know that God is of Lofton, who always seemed to shift and always smile evilly, could be so mellow sometimes. Loki, where are you? Loki was peaceful moment was being ruined by a dumb big oaf. Ugh, just great. Loki groaned. There you are, brother. I have been looking everywhere for you. I was worried. What do you want? Loki hesitated, his face annoyance and uncomfort. I'm just worried. Aren't you supposed to rest? Thor asked with concern. No, I was feeling better, but thanks to you I felt tired. Thor laughed at his stark little brother. Thor sat next to Loki and asked, What are you reading? None of your business, he answered coldly. You've always loved reading since you were small, and you have not changed at all, Thor chuckled. Do not answer. There was a silence for a moment. Hey, Thor, Loki started to say something. Huh? What is it, brother? Looked at Loki with a concernedly. Why do you have so worried for me during those days? I just don't understand, Loki asked Thor. I could sadness in his face. Thor pat Loki on the head, and smiled. Because I care about you a lot, brother. Loki looked at Thor and blushed a little bit, looked away and hid the blush on his face. Idiot. That was it? Okay.